Hey guys, this summer I was uploading all of these lessons about jazz blues, and the last one I did was about the bebop scale. So I talked about in that one how to start it on the right notes, how to use it, why to use it, and basically, pretty much, I made that whole lesson just about playing runs on the bebop scale that were pretty linear, like this. And in that lesson, I told you guys that I mixed it with arpeggios. And I totally forgot that I had said that. And I promised that I would do another lesson on those arpeggios, which I forgot about until lately. A couple students have asked me about, how to do that and what happened to that next lesson. So I decided, hey, maybe I should actually make that one. So here it is. This lesson is about how to mix the bebop scale with arpeggios to create bebop lines. So what I'm going to do right now at the beginning is I'm just going to try to convince you guys of why I need these arpeggios or why you might want these arpeggios just by playing a couple examples and giving maybe an analogy. And then I'm going to explain it on paper exactly what arpeggios to use. And then I'm going to grab my guitar again and give you guys some examples and try to, show you exactly how I'm weaving these things together. So I think I'll start with an analogy. I think of my bebop lines like a building where the arpeggios are like the bricks and the bebop scale is like the cement that kind of holds them together. So the really pretty part that you're looking at and the strong part is the bricks, and then they're kind of tied together by these little linear passages that, they just kind of serve as like this glue to keep everything cohesive. So I'm going to start playing, and I'll play a couple examples without using any arpeggios, and then I'll play some examples with arpeggios, and hopefully you'll hear the sound that I'm getting at. Okay, so here's no arpeggios. Okay, completely linear. Now I'm going to mix in some arpeggios and listen to the difference it makes in my sound. Okay, so hopefully you can hear what I'm getting at now. So now let's go to pen and paper and I'll show you guys the theory behind what I'm doing. To start out, I'm just going to write out my F Mixolydian scale because all of this is based on F Mixolydian. So if you don't know F Mixolydian, you might want to learn how to play that, learn that shape on the guitar because all of this is based on that. So it's F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E flat, and then of course we're back to F again. And I will label these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1 again. And maybe I'll call 1 the root. All right. Now, since this is over F7, what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to circle all of the chord tones in the F7. So we have root, third, fifth, and seventh. F, A, C, E flat. So what arpeggios am I going to use over this sound? The first one is fairly obvious. It's just the chord tones of that chord, F, A, C, E flat. And another name for those set of notes is, of course, F7. So that is the first arpeggio that I use over F7 bebop. The second one I'm going to get by doing the exact same thing, but instead of starting on the root of my chord, I'm going to start on the third. So I'm going to get F, A, C, E flat, G. So I'll write that down. F, A, C, or sorry, not F. What am I thinking? A, C, E flat, G. So A, C, E flat, G has a name, and that name is A minor 7 flat 5. So A minor 7 flat 5 is the second arpeggio that I was using there over F7 bebop. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that for the next two chord tones. I'm going to do that for the fifth. So I'm going to get C, E flat, G, and B flat. So in this one, I have C, which is the fifth, E flat, which is the seventh, and then G is the ninth, or the second, and then B flat is the 11th. So as I go through these, I'm getting more and more colorful tones because my arpeggios are reaching into tensions as opposed to just being chord tones. So another name for these set of notes is C minor 7. So C minor 7 is the third arpeggio that I use over F7 bebop. And the last one is made up of E flat, G, B flat, and D. So this one is very colorful because it has the 7th, 9th, 11th, and 13th. So that one I really like because it's such a colorful arpeggio. It's full of tensions, and it's a great contrast to the very end sound of my bebop scale. And another name for those notes is E flat major 7. So here you have all of the arpeggios that I use combined with F7 bebop scale. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my guitar and show you guys some concrete examples of how to practice this stuff. In the lesson that I did about the bebop scale, I made this rule that you have to have the chord tones on the beats when you're playing your lines. This rule does not hold true for these arpeggios. You can break them up in whatever ways you want. You don't have to start them in any certain area. That is just for when you're playing the linear lines. So you know you might hear me play stuff like and that stuff is totally cool where I'm breaking it up and, you know, doing different patterns within the arpeggios. So anyway, I'm just going to get into some examples now. Here is example number 1. Example number 1 is based on the E flat major 7 arpeggio. And here is the E flat major 7 arpeggio. And I started on the 7th, which sounds really good when you're playing major 7 arpeggios, to start on the 7th, which is D. So there I played straight up the arpeggio, and then I kind of doubled back. but all those notes are perfectly within E flat major 7. And then I jumped up here to F, and I'm just playing F7 bebop descending from the root 1 octave. And that's about as simple as you can get. So that whole one again, arpeggio, scale. Okay, here is example number 2. Let's see. Now in this one, I started out on an A minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio, which looks like this. I started from the root, A, C, E flat, G, and then I started my bebop scale on the root. That's what that is. And then I went to an F7 arpeggio, but I started it on the 5th, which is C, just based on where I was. So, and then I played that arpeggio up to the 7th. So that's E flat, the 7th of F7. And then here I walk down my bebop scale, and obviously here I'm starting it on the 7th and walking it down, and I walked it down 1 octave and landed on the 7th, E flat, an octave below that. So I'll go through that one more time. Arpeggio, scale, arpeggio, scale. Okay. Let me think of another one to give you guys. Okay, I'll play another one and see what happens. Okay, so what I did there was I played a F7 bebop scale starting on the root but going up. That's what that was. And then I came down using F triad, which I forgot to mention that. You don't have to play these as 7 arpeggios. You can just play the triads and take off the 7th. As you guys know, I like triads. So that's totally cool for you guys to do. So check this out. And then I played E flat major 7, but I started on the 7th on D here. That's what I'm doing there. So I played and then I went back to my F7 arpeggio and I played, I think that's what I did at least. I'm forgetting now. But I'm gonna say that's what I did. So it was so scale, F triad, E flat major 7, and then back to F. Right? So hopefully those ideas give you some idea of how I actually put together lines. Now, the end goal is once you have enough of these lines, you're just going to start sort of flowing through these sounds. And you should kind of just develop an F7 bebop sound that you can just sort of go on indefinitely, playing lots and lots of stuff, basically forever. Because once you have enough ideas, they start to sort of flow together, and you see the arpeggios, and they're just kind of part of the scale as you know it. So what I'm going to do now is just play a little bit in this sound just to kind of show you guys what it will amount to, like the skill that you're developing, is this. So here we go. I'm just gonna go for a bit. Thanks for watching. That's about all I got for this lesson. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more stuff, more lessons, and more examples of my playing, please click subscribe and like and comment. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, I would love to hear from you. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys next time.